There is a struggle most people carry quietly. You have a desire, something you want deeply, something that feels right and true, and yet some part of you resists it. Not the world, not circumstances, something inside you. You reach for the vision, and another voice pulls back. You affirm the good, and doubt answers immediately. You try to believe, and the old self rises up to argue. It feels like a war. And the exhausting part is that you cannot escape the battlefield, because the battlefield is you. Neville Goddard's answer to this was not a technique for managing the conflict. It was a revelation about what the conflict actually is. He read the story of Jacob wrestling the angel, found in the 32nd chapter of Genesis, not as ancient history, not as a miracle happening to one man in the desert, but as a precise psychological map of what every human being must go through to claim a new identity and a new life. In that story, Jacob wrestles through the night with a mysterious figure. The figure cannot overpower Jacob, but Jacob will not release him. At dawn, the figure says, "Let me go." And Jacob answers, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The figure then asks him his name. Jacob answers, and immediately the figure says, "Your name is no longer Jacob, you are now Israel." And with that, the blessing comes. Neville taught that this story is not about a man and an angel. It is about you and your own consciousness. The figure Jacob wrestles is the embodiment of his old concept of himself, the limited self, the self that has been defined by circumstance, by history, by what others have said, and what the past has proven. Jacob, in Hebrew, means supplanter, the one who grabs the heel, the one who lives in the shadow of his brother. To remain Jacob is to remain small. But to cross that threshold, to become Israel, which Neville translated as one who rules as God, you must wrestle your old self into submission. What Neville was pointing to here is the inner confrontation that every genuine assumption requires. When you decide to occupy a new state, when you claim the life you want as though it is already yours, the old concept of yourself does not quietly step aside. It fights back. And Neville was clear that this is not failure. This is the process. This is the night of wrestling. You must be careful of one thing. You must not let it go until it blesses you. That is the instruction Neville pulled from this story. You hold the vision. You do not release the assumption under the pressure of appearances. The circumstances of your life will seem to argue against what you have claimed. Old patterns will surface. Doubt will present itself as wisdom. And in those moments, you are Jacob at the brook. The question is whether you loosen your grip. Neville described this as the moment where most people fail, not because the law does not work, but because they let the vision go too soon. They assume the new identity for a moment, and then, when nothing visibly shifts, they return to explaining why it cannot happen. They release the angel before the blessing comes. The illustration Neville returned to often was the shift of name itself. Jacob did not receive a new name until he had wrestled to dawn. The new identity, Israel, was not granted before the struggle. It was granted because of the persistence through it. Neville taught that your new name is your new state of consciousness. It is the self-concept you claim and refuse to abandon. And the world, which is nothing but your consciousness pushed out, will eventually conform to it. But only if you hold. Here is exactly what you do tonight. Lie down, still your body. Bring into your mind the specific state you want to occupy. Not the wish, not the wanting of it, but the feeling of already being the person who has it. Let that feeling become your only reality in that moment. Now notice if something in you argues. Notice if the old voice rises. Do not fight it directly. Do not debate it. Simply stay in the new feeling. Hold it the way Jacob held the angel, not with aggression, but with absolute refusal to release. Stay there until the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the dominant reality in your awareness. That persistence, that refusal to let go, is the wrestling. And if you hold until the scene feels natural and complete, you have received the blessing. You have crossed from Jacob to Israel. You are not waiting for the world to change before you claim your new name. You claim the name first. The world follows.